Spartan Nation, Big Tig Nation, College Football Nation, what is happening? I'm Ken, the super cool Spartan. My brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. Q the Woodshed, coming at you guys with the College Football Playoff Edition here. And man, we got some stars here in the house tonight. Some superstars here. We got family in the house, and we got, a dynamic football mind here in the house. Boy, represents the FAMU. I want to give a big shout out and special thanks to the big dog, Mr. Lil Curtis Williams in the house here. Family on the wife's side, the Williams side representing good old Alabama, along with his man Andre Davis, who he lit everything up there for FAMU, arena football, true football mind here. How y'all gentlemen doing tonight?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Lil Kurt, what's
Thanks for
going
coming
on, man?
That
All
much,
right,
brother.
Lil Kurt.
Blessed and highly favored, man. Happy holidays to everybody out there, man. We blessed and highly favored, and I appreciate you having me and my partner on, man.
Oh, we appreciate, you guys coming on here, man.
Thank you all for being on.
Yes. Yeah, we've actually have been talking about this for a minute, because one, here, in our parts here in the north, our football team, Michigan State, they've been very disappointing, not only this season, but the past few seasons. So, we have been really creative these past few seasons as we started the podcast to talk about different football topics. And one of the things that Brian and I talked about was doing, especially for the college football playoff this year, was the good old Big Ten versus SEC talk, because that's always dominated college, for specifically with all the talking heads, ESPN and Fox Sports and all those people, the SEC versus Big Ten versus SEC, who's the better conference, who, has lifted the national championship trophies more, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So me and my brother was like, you know what? We need to do a special podcast here talking about, Big Ten, which will represent, versus SEC, and who can we talk to represent the SEC?
The
So
only
my
two
lovely
conferences
wife,
that matter.
right? The only two conferences that really matter. Sorry Big 12, sorry ACC, sorry MAC conference, whatever. It's always just
G5,
Big Ten versus SEC,
FCS
right?
Division 2, Big Ten,
Right, don't matter.
SEC.
Yeah.
These are the two big dog conferences in the country. Don't matter what it is. So shout out to my wife, Erica. She had the idea of, hey, y'all should holler out Lil Kurt, because Lil Kurt got a little, he know a lot about football and whatnot here. So
yeah.
got on the horn, the for all you, younger folk, the cell phone. Us older folk back in the day, we used to call the phone the horn, but got on the phone here and said, Lil Kurt, man, we're gonna do this special podcast. We'll bring you on here.
Doubt.
And it just so happened, Lil Kurt, he brought in, some SEC muscle here, man, Andre here. So here we are, about to make this special thing happen.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So let's get right into it, gentlemen. So let's just kick it off with the college football playoff here, because, off the 12 teams, 8 of the teams are between Big Ten and SEC. 3 teams from the Big Ten, 5 from the SEC. And usually it's probably going to come down to Big Ten versus SEC in the playoff. Last year it didn't happen. Somehow Notre Dame, who were like crybabies this year, since they didn't get picked, they was like, you know what? we gonna play a no bowl game. We're gonna play a
Mm.
no bowl game because we didn't get picked
They
this
threw a
year.
hissy fit.
Right? They threw a hissy fit. Like who? These are grown ass men throwing hissy fits about that. But that's another
Yeah.
topic. So it's probably gonna come down to the Big Ten, SEC for this year. Kurt, little, Uncle Ray. He a big Alabama fan. I chat with him every weekend for the past couple years. I get about Bama. He gets on me about Michigan State. He's very happy that Alabama, they creeped into the playoff this year,
Freaks
despite
is
them getting
right.
spanked by Alabama. by Georgia in the SEC championship. So
yeah,
I'm gonna kick it off, with our illustrious guest here, Brian. Why do y'all think? If y'all think, I'm sure y'all do, but why do y'all think the SEC is going to win the championship this year? I'll start with you, Lil Kurt.
well, I just feel like the SEC has a little bit more depth. It's a little bit more like a fraternity or sorority. Is very deeply rooted. When you come down south, people can ask you, especially in Alabama, if you would Alabama or Auburn. And like I always tell them, I'm with Alabama State. But in cases like this, you try to root for the team that's in the playoffs, Alabama. I just feel like they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of NIL money. And I feel like there's a whole other level when it comes to competing and when it comes to recruiting. That's a big thing. And you see what just happened with like Kissing and LSU. But I feel
right,
like, yeah, I just feel like it's not a lot of loyalty left in college football. You got a lot of people switching sides, going for where the money goes. But I feel like, this year should be interesting. And the thing that you said about Notre Dame, I just feel like they're a poor sport because
for sure.
anytime somebody invites you to something, you're not in a conference, you're independent. Everybody that plays football, even in the SWAC, even with FAMU, the MEAC, I mean, everybody has a conference. So I just feel like, especially this year, especially with Indiana rising up to the ranks, with Ohio State, I feel like the Big Ten has a powerhouse and they play a different type of football. They play like a grind football. And I feel like SEC, they play like a showman football. They do a lot of passing, and in the Big Ten, they do a lot of running, and it's all about crowd control. And you got the downfall of Penn State. So I just feel like it's a lot of narratives when you look at the whole picture and you try to come up with a solution. But it's going to be very interesting in college football playoffs. And I'm going to kick it out to my partner, Mr. Davis, to try to get his opinions on things because, he has a lot of in-depth knowledge. Being that he played one of the hardest, he always tell me one of the hardest positions to play in football is the cornerback. So you don't know where the receiver's going. You don't know, what the play is. You don't know if you're getting blocked or you got to run. So I'm gonna kind of let him take it from here.
Good evening, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Good,
We
good,
doing
good.
good, man. How about yourself, man?
Doing
Pleasure to have
great.
you on here.
Doing great. I think college football is in a great place. You got a team like Indiana that most people, excuse me, most
Bless you.
people expecting to be
God
here.
bless you.
Got an old favorite, Ohio State. Um, you got old holdovers like Alabama, who people say are the darlings of the playoff system because they always seem to sneak in. And then you have you got the Alabama haters out there who say Alabama always gets that nod. But I think when you look at it, when you play SEC football, you're playing professional athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the guys that play in the SEC, whether it be Alabama, whether it be Auburn, whether it be the Florida Gators, whether it be at this point Texas, you're talking about powerhouse football teams, and the players that they get are potentially all across the roster pro players. And I think that's just what makes the SEC different. Um, to throw a monkey wrench out there, you have an All-American safety, Caleb Downs, who plays for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He made headlines last week by saying he made the comment that, you know, in the Big Ten, you play a few tough games, in contrast, every week in the SEC, you're playing against professional athletes. So I think
Mhm.
what makes the SEC stand out, when you start talking about Alabama, Texas, Florida, those are powerhouse programs that have professional athletes who just happen to play college football at this point. So, you had an Ohio State player admit that. He plays for Ohio State. He came from Alabama, and he says, "Hey, I had a few good opponents at the Big Ten, as opposed to every week in the SEC, I'm playing against pros." So
Mhm.
it's an excellent way to kind of look at it. I'd be willing to hear y'all thoughts on that.
Well, I'm gonna kick it with you, Super Mad Spartan. We're gonna argue for the Big Ten, and after
No
hearing these
problem, no
brothers
problem.
talk, these brothers talk. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to reframe my argument a little bit.
No, I was gonna say I think I can understand the SEC hype. I think the SEC it's a really good conference, and I think the top of the SEC is some of the best in the country. I also think the top of the Big Ten is some of the best in the country. I think our middle tier is better than most teams' middle tier, especially I know what you mean about NFL talent. It's not like the Big Ten is lacking there. If you look at just Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, USC, like those football factories too. They're putting guys in the NFL. I think the thing that the Big Ten that makes it seem like we care about just running the ball and grinding out. Our weather here is a little bit different sometimes. So you can't just throw the ball and it's so cold and it's 10-degree weather. You have to be
Yeah,
able to run
yeah,
that rock because
yeah.
yes, that's what's gonna make you. That's what shows who the men are, and that's what shows
Yeah.
where you man up at. When it's 10 degrees, you're gonna pop pads. You get down to it. I really like. So the last few years, Ohio State's been losing to Michigan because Michigan's been the more physical football team. And Ohio State's a physical team, but Michigan took it to them.
Mhm.
Now this year is a different story. In Ohio State, I'd always say they're like a SEC school. They're built. They're always built to compete with y'all down south. They can play both ways. They go grind it out. They can go. They can air it out a little bit. Maybe not so much this year. They're more of a defense oriented team, and their offense is above average, but it's not like the greatest show on turf or anything.
Mhm.
And then I think talk about our mid tier schools like. You think about Iowa. No one, outside of the Big Ten, no one would think anything about Iowa, right? But everybody knows in the Big Ten, if you go to Iowa and you don't have your chin strap on, you're gonna get checked. You'll get
Mhm.
blown out in Kinnick. And that and
Iowa,
that
and since you mentioned Iowa, Iowa has two white cornerbacks in the NFL.
yes.
Two.
Mm.
You got DeJean for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you also have Moss for the Denver Broncos, both from Iowa. White cornerbacks, which have not happened in the NFL in decades.
Mm.
And speaking about, football factories, Iowa, they're known for putting linemen and tight ends in the NFL. Like so, we got
Mhm.
you got NFL talent in the Big Ten too. And I think this argument, it shows why these are the two best conferences, honestly. You're
Yeah.
talking about top to bottom mid-tier schools with NFL talent. And, I talk about Iowa. Iowa's like a 6-6, 7-5 football team.
Yeah.
So I'm cooking off to you, Broski. What you have to say about the Big Ten?
Whoo, boy. Y'all make some very compelling arguments. I mean, this is good. This is what I'm talking about. This is why we do this podcast here. So, to to my brother's point, yeah, the Big Ten definitely is a roughshod slobber knocker conference. We
Mhm.
do have to account for the weather here, especially November time frame, because
Terrible,
it gets
brutally
very
cold.
cold here. I mean, we're talking about like the weather we have here now, you know, teens to the high be like 25, 26 degrees. Sometime, the snow comes down. So we do here in the Big Ten, we do have to overall, we do have to account for, the weather. Now the teams that join from the West Coast, the USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, and they learn quickly themselves that when you come to the Big Ten, you just can't throw the rock around. Those teams learn very quickly um, that you have to have some kind of running game to complement your passing game to get through the Big Ten. Because I think the
Sure.
Big Ten overall is more of a running type of conference per se, with the running
Defensive
backs.
oriented,
I
yeah.
know, yeah, and defensive oriented. I know back in but I like when I was at Michigan State, back in the '90s, and all the way, I'll say from like the early '90s to like the 2000s. Where you had like Wisconsin, for example, they had those big bruising backs, that made it to the NFL. And then you had, the Brian's talking about, Iowa. Iowa's really never been a pushover team. Even though they, for the most part, they've been a middle tier team. But you still have to respect them because they'll, like Brian said, they'll pop you. Especially if you play at Iowa. And also you have
And
to
at
account
nighttime,
for, yeah, and like at nighttime too. Like a night game here in the Big Ten, like late November, man, brutal. It's brutal. So overall, I think that but I think what makes the Big Ten strong, and I definitely get your point, uh, Andre, talking about how the SEC is all about, from top to bottom with professional athletes per se. But, with the Big Ten, I mean, you have to respect, that middle tier. I would say maybe a little more than the SEC, only because with the Big Ten, to Brian's point, we got to go on the road, especially late in the year at Iowa, at Minnesota, at Wisconsin. Um, Even I'll say when Michigan State was good at Michigan
yeah.
State late November, it's cold outside, it's 10 degrees. Yeah, it's a different type of game. So, but to Brian's point, I mean, that's why this makes college football, great because of these two conferences. Because really, it's these two conferences that set the tone for the rest of college football.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So, so, uh, so who you guys think, on the SEC side, who you think can hoist the national championship trophy when it's all said and done come mid January? Because the past 2 years, it's been Michigan with and we here
Steelers.
in our area, we put the asterisk on theirs because they had help with Mr. Connor Stallions, but you can never tell a Michigan fan that. They'll deny that. Well, and Lil Kurt, just to let you know, I had this argument with Uki, and the other cousin Uki. I had the argument with him uh, Thanksgiving at Wayne's house. We're having this conversation, and he was like, you can't tell me that everybody else don't do it. Everybody else don't do it, and that's Michigan, because he's a Michigan fan too. Like everybody else don't do it. You can't tell me
They had
that.
a man with
Like,
spy glasses on the sidelines. Like, what are
right,
we talking about?
right, right. I'm like, I said, dude, Connor Stallions was on the sideline. He infiltrated the sideline of Central Michigan University against Michigan State. Now, I don't know any other team that can disguise someone from their staff to go on another team's staff to play a Big Ten opponent. Like,
Yeah.
and
Everybody
Has that ever happened before, man?
I
Has
think
that
he
ever
wanted. I
happened
think he wanted the reason
before?
that Ray-Ban sunglasses got real popular. You know, they skyrocketed. You hit the
probably.
button and record, man, and he, you know. So
I'm like,
that's a
dude, that's like the equivalent of, or Andre, that's like the equivalent of someone from FAMU staff. They're going to infiltrate Bethune-Cookman for the Florida Classic to get
Unheard of.
tape.
Yeah.
So I told
Unheard
them, like,
of.
what are we talking about? No one has ever done that.
It's probably why Harbaugh left for the pros, man. Probably
Of
why
course.
Harbaugh left. They
They knew what
caught
it
him.
was.
Yeah,
You
he knew what
the
time it
whole thing
was.
with your shirt from the other team standing on the sideline. It's
Oh
like
my God, man. But let me reel it back in. Let me reel it back in. So the past couple years, it was Michigan with their asterisk championship, and then Ohio State won. You know, the inaugural CFP. So, uh, what do y'all think, or do you guys think? And I'm sure you guys do, that it'll be the SEC's turn this year to hoist up that trophy between Bama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Georgia. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't remember the fifth team that is in
You
the
got
CFP
A&M?
right now. But
Texas
yeah,
A&M.
Texas,
yeah.
is it Texas
Texas
A&M?
A&M,
Okay,
yeah.
so why do you think one of those five will hoist up the trophy this year?
I
I'll
think
start with you,
eventually.
Andre.
Go ahead. I'll let Kurt go ahead and get started.
All
He
right,
had a
all right, little Kurt.
thought.
Well,
What's your thoughts, little Kurt?
I think right now, one of the hottest SEC teams or the teams in the nation is the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, they've been proving they are grind. You know, they kind of play. They kind of remind me of a Big Ten team with
Mhm.
SEC talent. I mean, one guy go down, they got another guy to step up. They've been playing well. I think they probably on an 8 or 9 game winning streak. Their last loss was to Alabama. So if I,
Oh, that's
you know,
true. That's true.
if I had to put my money on anybody right now in the SEC, it would probably be Georgia. Well, how they've been playing recently and how they've been playing throughout the season, because they kind of play with a chip on their shoulder. They've been going for it on fourth down. They've been blocking punts, and they beat Alabama handily,
Wow.
like 28-7.
Yeah.
So if I had to put my money on the SEC team, I would put it on Georgia.
Mm.
Dre.
What say you, Andre?
You can't. You know, I would never like to bet against a Nick Saban disciple such as Kirby Smart. But I'm going a different route. Since he picked
Uh-oh.
Georgia, right now I really don't believe. I don't want to say this too loud because my sons are Bama fans here. Uh,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I'm a Florida native, so I don't have a dog in this fight as far as Alabama, Auburn. But I'm gonna go Texas A&M. I'm gonna tell you why. Texas
Okay.
A&M has a mobile quarterback. And a lot of times your mobile quarterbacks are always a wild card. I'm thinking Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, types of guys where when a play breaks down, when you got nothing, you can rely on his feet, his elusiveness, and his speed and quickness to get away. And I think that's always an X factor when you're playing in big games. Whenever you're playing a big football game, which these playoff games are all going to be big, you have to have something that the other team does not have in order to get over that hump. And I'm gonna go Texas A&M because I like the elusiveness of the quarterback, and I also think A&M has an underrated defense because I saw their defensive line and their pass rushers the last few weeks, and they are dominant on the defensive line. So I'll go Texas A&M.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I actually forgot about A&M because I know they have been they've been killing it. I think was it they only lost? Was it the last game of the regular season they lost? I think, or like the last.
Yeah,
I think so.
So
Yeah, the last
yeah,
game.
okay,
Yeah.
it's really good choices.
okay, yeah, I like those. All right, broski, we got to come with a good argument for the Big Ten winning this bad boy again.
You
What's your
already know who I'm
thoughts?
gonna say.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with the defending champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. All they need is a chip on their shoulder, and
Hey,
we
wait a
saw it
minute.
last
Wait a
year.
minute.
They lost.
Wait a minute. Got a question. We can't double up on our picks, right? So if you pick Ohio State, he has to go somebody else in the Big Ten, or what are we doing?
It's up to
yeah,
Kid.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with somebody else to
Gotcha.
mix it
I'll
up.
say
I'm gonna go
like
with somebody
Okay.
else.
I'm
Okay.
going to Ohio State. Just
Okay.
we've seen this team respond before once to a loss. They lost last year to Michigan, kind of embarrassing fashion for what they were doing, and then they ran through the playoffs. And I don't think they're going to do it this year. I don't think anybody's sleeping on Ohio State. But Ryan Day, he knows something about that. I trust Ryan Day versus any other team for the most part, except Michigan. Like, I know they just lost to Indiana. Indiana's a really good football team to the point of shocking me because my whole life they've been forks down, not good. But the last 2 years, they've been putting belt to ass to Big Ten opponents, especially us, putting 50 and 60 on us. So, and they said they beat Ohio State, but I just feel like Ohio State, top to bottom, is the most talented Big Ten team on paper. And they're going to have to just show it and they prove it. Those guys probably were a little fat and sassy running through the Big Ten because they hadn't really played a really, really tough opponent all year. They played Texas, but that was the first game of the year. That was kind of a back and forth slobber knocker game. And then their next really, really big game was basically versus Indiana. And they lost. So now they got that, hey, this is what it's going to take. So I feel like they'll be motivated to come out. And they lost. They barely lost to Indiana. It was a very, very close game. But see, I'm going to go with the defending champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I know my Michigan State friends. Like, how dare you? How could you?
They're going to put you out. They're going to put you out, man.
I'm telling you.
Hey, I've been proud of better places.
So like you, right. So like you, Andre, I'm gonna shake up the world. And what's interesting is when Brian and I did our podcast about the Big Ten championship game, I actually picked Indiana to win that game because I just felt like, Kirk Cignetti, he has the ultimate chip on his shoulder. I mean, when he came to Indiana from James Madison, they did his profile on him, and he had I didn't know that he coached with Nick Saban at Alabama because they had pointed out last season.
Yeah,
he was on the staff with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. So so he had that run with Alabama.
Staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Kirk Cignetti, he's always had like that underdog mentality when he came from, ever since he came to Alabama as an assistant under Saban to all of his coaching stops, just watching, his profile and, he coaches like he's always mad. He kind of reminds me of Mark D'Antoni a little bit because he always has like a scowl on his face when he's coaching.
That's a good
So I'm gonna roll with Indiana again. Because
win the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, because
it can happen.
Yeah, he had that. He had a taste. He had a taste of it last year in the playoff when they lost to Notre Dame, and this year, like I said, he came with the ultimate chip on the shoulder. It's like, okay, yeah, what we did last year was cute, but I'm gonna show you guys this year, and he did. I mean, and to Brian's point, watching the Big Ten this year, I mean, Indiana and Ohio State pretty much just ran through the entire conference. I mean, it was just, well, with the exception of Indiana playing Oregon. But when they played Oregon at Oregon and beat them, I was like, whoa,
Beat them by double
this team
digits.
means business. Yeah, this
Beat 'em-
team
how
means
much-
business.
What was the margin there? To beat them by how much?
30-10.
It was like
30 to
yeah, it was
30
like
to 20.
30 to 20.
Okay,
Yeah, something like yeah. Yeah, so they beat them by double digits. And then like Brian said, for the past couple years, Indiana put that foot to ass to Michigan State. I mean, they just blew us out this past 2 years. And now what's funny is Michigan State is the old Indiana.
Wise for sure.
We're just we're the old Indiana. So yeah, I'm a roll with the Hoosiers, man. Just Kurt's like, you know what? I beat Oregon. I beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten. So I'm really about to what does Kendrick Lamar say? And what's the song? Man, I can't remember the song. He's dissing Drake. That song, Pop Off and Show.
That's
yeah, you pop up and show them, boys. So I'm gonna roll with the Hoosiers.
Yeah,
I'm roll with the Hoosiers, man. So
yeah, okay.
So
I do have a pop quiz for the Big Ten guys.
Okay.
Not really
All
a
right.
pop quiz. Really, actually, kind of tongue in cheek, but
okay.
I would be willing to pay one of you guys to name for me 4 Indiana players prior to 2020.
Like total? Like, I can name 4.
You can remember their name and position from
right.
Indiana University football. Don't go to basketball. I don't want to hear about Buckner and Bobby Knight and Larry Bird. I need to hear 4 football players prior to 2020 that you
let's see.
And you're up north, so you should be able to name at least 5. I just want 4. I got one on my mind right now.
I was gonna say
that y'all aren't gonna be. Y'all probably won't remember, but I got one on my mind.
Okay.
And don't say Michael Penix either, because that's going. That's probably easy.
I was gonna say him because I think he got there before 2020, I believe. But,
I knew y'all was gonna pull it out. So take him out of the bucket. I need 4. I need 4 more.
Anton Randall L.
Well, I know one is Anton Randall L. That was back in the late 90s or something.
Yeah, that's the early, maybe.
Since Antoine Randall L.
Yeah.
I'm thinking some names like as a quarterback, as a running back. He was in the NFL for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait. I asked that question. I'm gonna wait. I just asked for 4 Indiana players prior to 2020. Nobody's got crickets.
Man.
We got to get some Chew the Woodshed music.
What was it? There was a quarterback. Cause I remember we played them, and he was like a backup quarterback, like Xander Diamante or something, because his dad was like a soap opera actor or something. That's the only reason I remember that one.
Yes.
The fact that we're struggling to name 2 tells me everything I need to know about Indiana. And then I'm gonna be honest to the coach, Kurt Signetti. I mean, I said in the past couple of weeks the man deserves a statue already in the front of the Indiana Stadium, because you're talking
Most
about
definitely
that for decades. We're not even talking about Colorado that used to be relevant in the 90s. Colorado had Heisman Trophy winners. They had a couple of Jim Thorpe Award winners, which is the best defensive back in the country. They had 2 of those in the 90s. They played for the national title in 91 or 90. So Colorado used to be relevant at some point. But we're talking about Indiana that's never been relevant in football.
Right.
And this man has lost
never.
2 games in 2 seasons. He just beat the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are arguably probably the 33rd pro team in the NFL. Buckeyes. And now he has the Indiana Hoosiers football team ranked number 1. Now I'm going to say
Right.
that again. The Indiana
Right.
football team is ranked number 1 in the country right now. If you would have told anybody that 3 years ago, they would have thought you were crazy and knew you needed to be in a rehab.
Yeah, they thought you were on
Indiana
drugs.
might be the number 1 ranked team
You could have told me that.
in football. I would have believed it
Right.
in
In
basketball.
football.
I would have believed
Definitely
it.
in basketball.
Right.
Basketball, it would have been no problem to believe that. We're talking about football. So hats off
Right.
to Kurt Cignetti, man. I think from a coaching standpoint that they don't even need to have the ceremony for the coach of the year. The coach of the year is him. So for me,
Oh, I agree.
Indiana,
Totally. I agree.
I don't know y'all's
I
thoughts, but
agree.
I just think it's groundbreaking what he's done so far with that school.
Oh,
I
yeah,
agree.
I agree. Within like 2 years.
Flip their whole roster.
I mean, 2 years.
Now they'll have a
Right.
bunch of NFL talent now. Like you'll see coming up in this April. A bunch of Indiana guys are going to be in the first 3 rounds.
Definitely.
And the
Definitely.
quarterback
Might be
invited
number
to
1. He might win the
quarterback
Heisman.
is Heisman.
Yeah.
Mendoza,
he's actually from
like
Florida.
what?
He's from Fort Lauderdale, I think, or Miami, one of the 2.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, I just think when you talk about, people don't realize how hard it is to beat a team like Ohio State. I mean, you're talking about one of the largest, if not, I think Texas is the largest, college in America as far as student body. But you talk about just the history, the tradition. You talking about Eddie George. You're talking about recently Urban Meyer. You're talking about a team that every year they're competitive. Very, very rarely do you hear about Ohio State being, 6-4 or 4-7. A lot of teams go through that. Auburn goes through that. Auburn is going through that. The Gators are going through that. Florida State obviously is going through that. But very rarely do you hear Ohio State is in the dumps. Now they may not win the title, obviously, but you're talking about a consistent program, and somehow this, Indiana was able to beat them this year, which I just think, again, hats off to coaching, and I think that's a bigger deal than it. I think he earns all the credit he's getting. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that with Indiana, the coach.
Nothing but respect for Coach.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Talk about him. He came into the Big Ten destroying teams, not just winning,
including Michigan State.
Just any team not named Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, they were just ushering them out the way like children. Just, nope, you're done. Yeah. Get out the way. 50 points for you, 60 points for you. Okay, you get 45. We're feeling a little lazy this week. But yeah, so it's been very impressive what he's done in Indiana.
I have a question.
And I tell you guys, let me just say this one thing, Dre, and I'll get right to you. And so we witnessed an Indiana ass whooping live last year because we went to the Michigan State Indiana game at Spartan Stadium, where by early third quarter we left the game. It was over.
It was over
because I think by halftime Brian was maybe like 30-10.
What?
And then it was like 30-10 by halftime.
We were leading at the end of the first quarter, like 10-0.
Yeah, we were leading it. Yeah, we were leading at the end of the first quarter, 10-0. Then by halftime it was like 30-10 or something. So then when the third quarter started, it was only maybe like 5 minutes into the third quarter.
Touchdown. It's like, well, guess
touchdown. We was like, well, shit, we out of here, baby. So
we
saw the ass whooping live. But what's your question, Andre, man? What's your question?
I'm assuming y'all know, since Curtis family, he's a basketball man. That's his expertise. Man, how do you compare being a basketball man? Bob Knight is the name in Indiana. Bob Knight is God of Indiana basketball. Man, compare that to what the coach is doing in football. Kurt, you're a basketball man. Tell me what Bob Knight meant to Indiana or to basketball. When people say Bob Knight, what do you as a basketball guy think of, and how do you relate that back to what we seeing now, man? Because it's
I,
coaching.
I just think that first you gotta look at the era. Back
Uh,
when Bob Knight was doing his thing, he had his own era. He was like the man. He had star players. He had Isaiah Thomas. He had all type of, antics that probably you'll get fired for today.
okay.
Oh
100%.
So,
God, yes, yes.
when you look at that, he had like a he, he had like a cult following. And I believe in today's game, it's hard to get that type of, recognition back. I believe what this guy doing in Indiana is totally, it's a whole new thing. He got a whole new vibe. He got I think a 10 or 11-year deal. I
Oof.
think it's totally different. And I think it's actually a plus for Indiana
Okay.
because football really drives the whole school year to
Mm,
me.
mm.
Yeah,
Football,
yeah.
like what I want me and Dre to do one day is I told Ken this, I think at the funeral last time I seen him, I want to come to like a Big Ten tailgate. It's
Okay.
different, you know what I'm saying? So
Oh
me
yeah,
and Dre come up
we can
there.
do that. We can make that
Yeah,
happen.
Yeah.
set
I would
that
have
Yeah.
up,
loved the
Yeah.
SEC
fly
10,
up
man. I heard
there,
it's great.
come up there, tailgate with the Spartans and
I like that.
go to the Wolverine game
Yeah,
because it's different up there. But like I think when he was around coaching, it wasn't a lot of social media.
Mm,
It wasn't a lot of cell phones. It wasn't a lot of, necessarily hype. It was just that's Bob Knight, It's like a Mike Krzyzewski or like a John Thompson, he's the man. Like even like when that movie when they said you see this man, you see an aura about him. I think that's kind of what Bob Knight, brought to Indiana and brought to college basketball, just basketball in general. I feel like now that this guy is taking the football team to new plateaus, I think that that's amazing, And then, like y'all said, a turnaround from year one to year two. As Dre told me earlier, you lost 2 games in 2 years, and the Big Ten is like that's it. The Big Ten and the SEC is just like the NFL to me,
yeah.
and they got the talent. You got all type of players from all over the world coming there, and I think with the basketball, it's no comparison to the football because in a football stadium, you have what 110,000, 108,000 in a
At Ohio
one
State.
arena.
Hmm.
hmm
Then you got 20 or 30,000 outside tailgating. I just feel like what he's doing for football kind of, over trumps what he did in basketball.
Wow.
But he got to win that national title for him to,
Wow.
step over that plateau.
They
Bob
might
Knight
change the
won like
university
3 or
to
4.
Kurt Signetti, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Bob Knight won what 3 or 4 national titles. So I think if he get that national title, they're gonna go on put the groundwork down for the
Oh, he'll be a
statue.
god.
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah.
be a god.
He might as
Yes.
well retire and just say, just give me
Yes.
a
He'll be
$2,000
like Thor.
university.
He'll be like Thor from Asgard.
Yes. So it but it's there for the taking. He got the blueprint, and like you said, and one thing I found out about Indiana football team is that they don't practice a lot like a lot of other teams do.
I was just
Wow.
gonna bring that up. Yeah.
They
Wow.
don't practice.
hmm
They don't like really hit and practice. They go over a few little things, go through a few plays and a few formations, and they go home, man. And I think that he's setting the blueprint for other coaches and other programs to try to be successful with.
Wow. That's good.
Hey, I have a
Good.
question for you guys, and I was thinking about this, Kurt, as you was talking, because I know, um, going back to, I would say when Saban got to Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would talk to some former college football players that I knew who always talked about, like in the 2000s and the 2010s, because that's when the SEC was really just kicking ass, especially against the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sure.
just as just as fans, we would always say, or I always say that the because the SEC always can, since they don't have all of the inclement weather that we have here in the
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten, they're
Mm-hmm.
always able to practice, always able to play
Mm-hmm.
football, like year round. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that always kind of stuck to me as far as, my former barber who used to play college football. I think he played at Illinois back in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. He had said that it's not really, where you play football at, it's the kind of system that that particular team runs. So when you have
Mm.
like these Big Ten versus SEC games, whether if it's in a bowl game or a regular season game, do you think that it is more like style of play that dictates who will win those big matchups, or is it a combination of um, the type of football players that SEC teams have versus the type of players that Big Ten teams have? Because Andre, you said that the SEC has more like professional players. Is it due to more or less so like the style of play that these teams have that could then come to the table and they clash, or is it more so of like climate, you know, coaching, etc.?
Well, me and Dre talked about this like 2 or 3 days ago, but I really think it just boils down to adjustments.
Mm,
All the coaches
Okay.
have recruits and they watch film, they do plays, they know when you see this going to happen, or you got to alternate play with this. But I
mm,
think being a former coach, especially in basketball, but it's also relevant in football, is that when you make adjustments,
mm,
sometimes it'll be on the fly, sometimes it'll be at the half, sometimes it'll be during a play. It's those little bit of adjustments. Or he going here, you gonna run this fake in around, or you going here, we gonna run this option or this. And I'm gonna try to let Drake kind of enlighten me because we just talked about this like recently. Like it's a
uh,
difference between the SWAC, the MEAC, the SEC, the Big Ten. It's different coaches, they prepare you for different things.
yeah, yeah, and I remember that conversation. I hate to answer a question two ways, but I'm gonna try to with this. It's actually two things. I think Florida and the South give you an advantage weather-wise, because you got to think about it. At Florida A&M, probably about 75% of our players were from south of Orlando, Florida. Most of our players were from Miami. Um, Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State's big receiver, he's from Fort Lauderdale or Miami. Mendoza,
Okay.
Indiana, from Miami. Um, a lot of Miami is a hotbed of talent for a number of reasons. Number one, they start playing tackle football around 4 or 5 years old, and I'm not exaggerating.
Phew.
Had a cousin playing
Ooh.
full padded tackle football at 5. Um,
Ooh.
you have mamas in Miami coaching football. You understand? So football down in South Florida is not a sport. It is
A
life.
religion.
It is a way of life.
Hmm.
Play football as a young man in Miami. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Wow.
So you have an advantage there. If you've been playing football since you were 5 years old, by the time you're 20, you've been playing football for 15 years against some of the best players in the country. You talk about schools like Northwestern, which is in Miami, which has about 4,000 students under one roof. And at one time, Northwestern High School had more professional football players than any other high school in America. That's where Teddy Bridgewater went. The backup quarterback for the Lions, coached that team back to a state title and went back to quarterbacking this year with Tampa Bay. So football is a way of life in South Florida. That's number one. So that's an advantage. But to go back to Kurt's point, I believe in general these days with college football, the players are generally on the same level. Bo Jackson isn't coming back. Prime isn't coming back. The Eddie Georges of the world, 6'4", 230-pound running backs aren't easily found out there these days. Ray Lewis is not walking through anybody's door because they don't build like that anymore. So aren't kids, kids these days. Kids these days struggling. They're not struggling, and football is not their way out anymore. It used to be a time where football, basketball got people out of a bad situation, kept them on the straight. That's not the case anymore. We're talking about 2 and 3 car garage kids that the coaches have to go and recruit and say, "Hey, I got I got a better life for you." And the kid looks around like, "Better life? My mom's a lawyer, my dad's a judge. What you coach, you don't have a better life for me." You know, back in the day, these guys, Bo Jack, Charles Barkley, Deion Sanders, sports gave them a better life. That's not the case anymore. These kids these days have a silver spoon for the most part. Their needs. So the difference is, going back to Kurt's point, is coaching and adjustments. The coach is the most important piece to college football these days. All of these boys know the rating system. They know how many stars they are. They know how many colleges are recruiting them. They know who's transferring where. They have YouTube. They have personal trainers. Most of the athletes are the same for the most part. The difference is, like Kurt said, is the coaching. That's why Kurt go to Indiana and do what he's doing, because he's an excellent coach. He went from Elon, from the University of Indiana, the University of Pennsylvania at Indiana, which I didn't know there was a University of Pennsylvania in Indiana somewhere. He coached there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we have a one of our cousins. I have a cousin that coaches there at IUP. He's a D-line coach.
Yeah, so you're not talking about one of these celebrity coaches who just came up real fast. You're talking about a guy who learned how to coach, learned how to make these adjustments, and now you're seeing the fruits of his labor. I looked up his head coaching record, and the man has never had a losing season as a head coach. He's never lost more than 4 games in a single season. So like Kurt said, to go back to our conversation, it's all about coaching and adjustments these days. And it's not just about, let me find the fastest, the biggest, the whateverest guy. It's about coaching. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Coaching wins out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating, because I remember when Mark D'Antoni was coaching Michigan State, and he was on the come up, and he would have those bowl games against, like, Alabama, for example, when his his man Nick Saban, because D'Antoni was an assistant coach under Saban at Michigan State. So when they would have those Alabama, because I've seen 2 of those matchups. One was in a bowl game where Michigan State lost to Alabama like 49-7. This is like back in like the 2010.
That was 2010, yeah. Bama lost 3 games that year, so we got sacrificed to him.
We were sacrificial lamb for Saban. And then when we played him in the playoff, and this was when I was living in Dallas, because Alabama and Michigan State played at AT&T Stadium, and I was live at that game. Me and Erica, we were live at that game, Lil Kurt, and
I remember that
Alabama blanked us 38-0. And that was another game where we just kind of left like halfway through the third quarter. We were like, well, so we always just summed it up as if, well, it's Nick Saban, it's Alabama. He had the best of both worlds. He had the running back that could beat the shit out of you, and then had a quarterback could throw the damn ball. Saban had like a combination of like a SEC/Big Ten team. He combined like both styles of play and whooped ass. So I always just topped it up as if, well, Coach Saban's a great coach. I mean, he's the GOAT of college football, but seeing those when he was coaching Alabama, just seeing how he would just run through Big Ten teams, just truck them. I was just topped it up as if like, well, he got the best, he had the best college football players, he had the best coaches, and he could practice all day from sun up to sundown, and we in the Big Ten just didn't have at least against Alabama. But you guys bring up some very interesting points about that in terms of just adjustments. And Andre, you made an excellent point too about having players that have already played for at least a decade before they even step on a college football field.
Yeah,
so very interesting there. Yes. So, all right, man. I'm gonna get y'all out on a. We do this at Cue the Woodshed. We do these. I always stump Brian with these. These multiple choice questions here.
Yeah,
these
recently
fun
done
football
them all.
facts here. So, I'm gonna get you out of here on this, guys. And Brian, of course, you can chip in there too. So,
thank you.
And the 2000 decade from 2000 to 2010, what is the record that the SEC had against the Big Ten matchups? Is it A? 18 wins to 15 losses, B, 29 wins to 17 losses, or C, 30 wins to
now
13
the first number
losses.
is SEC, the Big Ten. The first number we're out of the.
The first
gotcha.
number
Give
is
me
the SEC. Okay, so this is in the 2000 to 2010 decade. How many wins did the SEC have against the Big Ten? So they have 18 wins against the Big Ten, 29 wins against the Big Ten, or 30 wins against the Big Ten. From the years 2000 to 2010.
Ohio State had a Heisman Trophy winner in there in 2006 that people forget about. Troy Smith, that's right.
Troy Smith.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sneak. That's good.
That's a trick question.
I think I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking Tim Tebow. I'm thinking, dang. I want to say 30, but I think they're tricking us. They're trying to pull us. This is a Trojan horse right here.
I'm trying to think. I used to say Tim Tebow. I'm thinking that time period, Tim Tebow them lost the bowl game.
They lost in 2002. They lost in 2002 to Iowa. They actually they got beat down by Iowa in like 2002 in a bowl game, and it was kind of like they beat them down. This is going. So Kurt, you said 30. I'm gonna go with the which one had the Big Ten? Which one had the smallest margin? The 18. I'm gonna do out.
18. Yep, 18. What say you, Brian?
Yeah,
I'm going with 18 just for the stamp for the Big Ten.
Y'all set me up. Y'all twist my
it's just too good to
y'all
be true.
twist are culturally biased.
No,
I
the answer is 18.
There it is.
I figured it. Yeah.
It's like the first one I got right in like 7 weeks.
And yeah, in the 2000s, yeah, the SEC had 18 wins over the Big Ten.
Hey,
the Big Ten had 15 wins in that decade.
Yeah.
That's real close.
Yeah.
And I had to rethink because
yeah,
that's a lot of wins.
I figured it was close. I figured it was
Yeah.
close, fellas, just
But
because of
Kurt,
that time frame. You had a Heisman Trophy winner at Ohio State. And then I distinctly remember Iowa just being in early 2000s, man. They were that team you just didn't want to see, man. They were just kind of that 3rd and 3, a cloud of dust. I Nobody want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still the same right now.
You didn't want to see Kurt Ferentz about 10 years ago. He's gotten old now. He's gotten
Oh
old.
yeah.
But back then he didn't he wasn't.
he mad old.
Yeah.
Iowa's still very solid. They're very solid.
Yeah,
If they
they
don't play
are.
fundamentals,
They are.
they're gonna put you in the dirt. You'll be in a world of pain.
But Kurt, I will tell you that in the 2010 decade, between 2010 and 2020, SEC dominated the Big Ten. They had 29 wins.
Yeah.
That was when Nick
right.
Saban. That's when Nick Saban probably had about half these wins.
I knew it was a trick. I knew the numbers was right.
And basically that was the
Williams.
SEC
I knew the numbers was right. Just the time frame.
Yep.
They
It
threw
was
the
like Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I knew that too. He tricked me. See, all these tests are culturally biased. 2000s and 2010. You gotta read the fine print,
man. Well, gentlemen, man, it was a pleasure to have y'all on. Y'all were fun. Y'all provided some great perspectives here about the SEC. We had a blast here doing this one. Next time we're gonna bring y'all on, man. We're gonna talk swag MEAC. We're gonna do that one. We're gonna do that one. Yeah, we're gonna do that one because even though we went to Michigan State. We have family. Went to FAMU, family that went to Alabama State, family that went to.
Hold on, you got to say that right. The Alabama State.
The Alabama State. The Alabama State.
Bethune-Cookman.
So yeah, so we're gonna do that one next time for sure.
Okay.
So
no doubt,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
yeah, man.
All right, y'all. Cue the woodshed. Ken the super.
I want to do a few shout outs before I go. Today
go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Today is my cousin Janisha's birthday. I want to say happy birthday, Janisha.
Oh yeah, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Yeah.
And it's also my sister's wedding anniversary. So shout out to her and Bruce Dozier.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah, man. Yes. So I appreciate y'all having me on. Shout out to my wife.
Oh man, we had a blast, man. We had a blast,
Much
man.
Appreciated.
Yeah.
Yes,
no doubt. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All
Cue
right.
the woodshed.
Cue the woodshed.
You gotta get some music.